Happy Thursday, friends. Good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Mystery Wine Blind Tasting. I'm Neal, your host, and this particular Thursday, finds me tasting wine in Florida. I got a chance to take the wine on the road. This little number traveled in a suitcase down to visit my father-in-law this particular week, and I get to do this with you from here, from the warm confines of Jensen Beach, Florida. So if you're joining and playing along, no matter where you are, please let me know. And we will figure out this little number. I debated whether I should use this, seeing as I'm kind of on vacation in Florida, but I'm gonna still anyway. Dean and Bobbin, good evening. Wonderful to have you here. It wouldn't really be a full blind tasting experience without Dean and Bobbin. I don't know, this is a unique wine. This is one of those wines that has a lot to say even before we see the wine. And so I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but there's indications of what this might be even before we start. Julie and Sarah and the Kubitskis, hi guys, welcome. Pennsylvania, Florida, Virginia, all represented in this chat, just for the three of us right so far. So, very interesting wine. If you're also joining and haven't chimed in yet, please do so. But let's get started. What do you see? Alicia, hey, yes, that's fantastic. I'm glad you were able to join as you picked up the wine last time you were in. It was wonderful to see you and the kiddos. Yep, Dean, we can start with the bottle game if we want, right? It's not likely a Bordeaux. It's not likely a California Cab. It's got that slender, sloped shoulder kind of perspective that would be more akin to a wine you'd find, say, with Riesling inside of it. So not necessarily one with a red wine in it. Screw cap, there's an element like that. Carolyn from North Carolina. Oh, awesome. This is fantastic. We have a pretty wide spread today. You can see through it. The wine, I think Julie's talking about, not necessarily the bottle. I hope yours isn't unveiled just yet. Happy spring from the Kestenbaums, Matt and Kathleen. Hey, welcome everybody. Great to see you. Yes, spring is certainly upon us. Ramps and morels are out there and hopefully making their way to our door at the restaurant and soon to a menu near you. Redbuds are already on the menu, and that's a great telltale sign of spring. All right, so what do you see besides the fact that you can see through it, right? It's a lighter red. It's a lighter red, which would go in keeping with this slender shape of the bottle, right? You don't necessarily think you're going to find, as Dean pointed out, a richer Cabernet or a Bordeaux style wine that wouldn't necessarily be presented in this type of shape. Christine, hey, good evening. So we've got Michigan represented too. We don't have morels yet, but we're looking for them, Julie, to answer your question. I think that's on the horizon, hopefully. As I get back next week, I'm going to go look for some, but I've never had any success, certainly not enough success to put any on the menu. One or two does not make a dish. So this is almost pink, you said, huh? There's a little ruby character to it. It's pretty see-through. Deep, dark rosé, if you're going to push on that one, but it's a light red for sure, which might take well to a chill, but I haven't gotten there yet in terms of the taste. So let's swirl. Let's look. Does it form a rim? And as it forms a rim, what happens? Is it starting to drop legs, tears that form into legs that hold? Pale purple. Yeah, pale purple's good too. I got a little like ruby cast, and there's a purplish kind of flecked tint to it. It's like a deep reddish purple color without it being deep. It's very translucent. There are tears that form. They are quick. They're fairly substantial though. I mean, they're not like running away thin, but they are forming fast. I don't know that there's some of them are moving a little slower depending on where the swirl happens. So there might be a little bit of alcohol here, which would be very interesting. Lighter bodied red with some higher alcohol, perhaps. The color, I think, showcases pretty good amount of youth. There's not a real variation in color. There's a touch, but not a huge variation. The ooh, hmm. The nose is pretty interesting. Speedy running down legs. I agree, Dean, fully with what you're saying there, and Bobbin. The youth, not necessarily wine of age, I think. So we're looking at 3 years, 2 years, 2 to 4 years kind of range. We have that reddish, purplish kind of light see-through perspective. And we're heading to the nose. And Julie kicks us off with Berrylicious. Yeah. So looking for a few things: fruit, earth, and wood. On the fruit side, Berrylicious is one of the descriptors. There's an earthy element here. There's an herbal. It's almost minty, but it's like a succulent mint. I can't place it. There's a greenness to this that goes along with that minty note. Anybody else pick that up? More fruit: strawberry, cherry, raspberry, cranberry. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, so we're on that Berrylicious berry quality, and mostly on the red berry side, not as much on the dark berry. There's definitely kind of the Berrylicious, though, and maybe I'm reading into that, Julie, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Berrylicious, almost like a candied quality to the fruit, not necessarily just pure fresh fruit. Not like a bowl of fresh fruit. It is the exaggerated, sweetened version, a candied version of fruit. There is this like marjoram, or maybe it's tarragon. Okay. Well, I don't get a whole bunch of wood on the nose either, do you? Not a lot of spice. There's just sort of that herbal note and tons of fruit and freshness otherwise. So let's taste it. See where you're at on the body. Is it rich? Is it whole milkish? Is it 2% milkish? Is it skim milk? Where does it lay in your mouth? Is it thin, kind of sheeting like water? Does it have volume? Does it fill up the mouth a little bit? Or is it somewhere in between? And then where's the acidity at? And how about the tannins? The acidity you kind of look for in the back of the experience. Does it linger, making you salivate? If it does so for a period of time, let's say if it goes for longer than 20 seconds, you got a long, lengthy kind of acid kind of response where you're salivating, and that's pretty high acid. If it's 10 to 20 seconds, you're moderate acid. If it's a little under 10 seconds, it's not particularly acidic. It's more basic. So where's that at? Where's the tannin at? Do you feel any grip, any like little sweaters for your teeth? These cotton balls stuffed up against your gums. Where's that at on that profile? Oregano notes. There is something herby, and yeah, oregano, but not so strong. But it is sweet green leaf, but herbal. Big cherry right up front. Lower on the alcoholic side, and medium acid, very little tannin. This is a fresh number. So one thing I'm looking for, because we're describing all kinds of fruit, red fruit, light body, low tannin, I'm kind of looking, is there any spritziness? Is there a little bit of carbonic in there? A little bit of bubble, and not persistent bubble like you find in, say, champagne with a lot more atmospheric pressure and finer bubbles, but just a little spritz that might suggest some carbonic maceration, which would give you a production where the grapes are trapped in a tank with carbon dioxide, and as they split and burst, the juice runs out over the skins, gaining a hue, and you get this trapped CO2 in the fermentation. And you get this little spritz as a result. I'm looking for that because that'd be kind of a telltale sign of sort of Beaujolais, for example. And that might be Gamay, and Gamay would fit this profile. Red Vino Verde, that's very cool. And that would maybe make some sense with respect to the bottle shape. No tannins. Medium plus acid. Yep. Fruit is present on the palate the same way it was in the nose, or different? I'm not getting the frizzante element. I'm getting more of that tartness on the back end. There's a real fresh tartness that peaks like 2/3 of the way through the experience of the sip and then lingers to the finish. There's some fruit up front. More fresh, yeah. I agree with that statement for sure. So not necessarily a carbonic maceration, but just a lighter red. And lots of fruit. So what might this be? Or maybe more appropriately to start, what isn't it? What do we know it's not? Dean started us off, right, already knowing based on bottle shape before we even poured the wine that it probably wasn't going to be Cabernet Sauvignon. Likely not a Bordeaux wine. And so it's not Merlot. It's probably not Cabernet Franc. It's probably not Petit Verdot. Now, it could be a variation on some of those grapes, just done with minimal skin contact with the intention of making a light red, but might see a little bit more of a tannin expression. Maybe not. Like, for example, we've seen a carbonic macerated Malbec that was done in Virginia, actually. And that wine was a little bit lighter and brighter. And so from that standpoint, this wine might be more about the process of winemaking than it would be about the grape varietal itself. Christine, yeah, it is. It's tasty. This is an easygoing kind of very nice summertime, springtime, light, warmer weather experience type of wine. There is a back end, that acidity in the back end, I agree, has a almost bubbly feeling on the palate. It maybe by way of suggestion too, but there is a quality about it that has this kind of almost spritz element. The cherry is so pronounced. Like if it was Gamay, I think you might get more strawberry, but not necessarily only. And I could be very wrong about that. Malbec, I don't know. This is a tough call. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that descriptor. Yes, it's an oops, there must be a hole in the bottle wine, which all of a sudden it's gone. It's all empty. And what happened? It just goes down. Dry red soda. There you go. Well put. This is something that you would just happily drink on the patio with whatever you're eating. And if you had fresh shellfish and grilled shrimp, you could have burgers, you could have pizza, you could have a little like lamb kebab would be fantastic. Yeah. A light GSM. So yeah, I think we're kind of, this might be a variation of a more rich red grape that's done on a lighter side by way of a stylistic preference or choice made by the winemaker. By way of what wines would show this profile, a lighter Pinot Noir, I mean, certainly would fit with the cherry kind of note. Gamay would fit in that realm. It's going well with Indian. Yeah, excellent. That's perfect. Sarah's noting carbonic Petit Verdot. Yeah, absolutely. You know, that kind of thing would make a lot of sense here. And Dean, 100% a Tuesday wine. You know, a wine that you don't have to think too much about, that you get through relatively easy. Doesn't present a struggle like maybe the rest of the week is mounting to be. Makes the remainder of the week more fun, as you've just enjoyed a beautiful bottle and fun. An Arizona Monastrell or Sangiovese, a Vaqueres, nice. A Rhone blend. So we've got GSM ideas. We've got, I still think we can have Pinot Noir and Gamay in the running. And what else could we have in the running here? Any basic red varietal that might be done carbonically or done with the intention of making it lighter in style. So maybe you're talking about some fruit that doesn't quite mature to the level of inclusion in a very big blend, but the site allows for it to come to some maturity and they pick it right at that point, but not full maturity, and make a lighter expression from it. If you were to extract more of its, of the skin and tannin from it, you'd get a kind of more green note. And that's fascinating because we all picked up on that sort of herbal note that was on the nose, but it's not so present in the palate. I'm not getting like a pyrazine quality to it. So you're saying about Arizona. Yeah. Is this, which winery? 15 cases is a small production. Yes, but a lighter style made from a bold red. Warm, dry weather red coming from BK Andrew. Yep. And it's called Brisa from Zarpara Vineyard, and they ship. That's nice. This is a fun wine. I think I did not chill it, but I think it would be fun to have a little light chill on this wine. I think it would be very enjoyable. We also threw out earlier, right, the like a white or a red Vino Verde. So a counterpoint to red Vino Verde, or excuse me, I'm mixing myself up. A red Vino Verde. So this could be kind of that lighter coastal Spanish red. You could see this being, I think Kathleen's just jumping ahead of where I was going, which is great, or leading me there, I should say. Maybe Austrian, right? Zweigelt, Saint Laurent, something Austrian would certainly match the shape of the bottle as well. The lighter red there being, there's something floral, like peony. Man, that's a tough one. Fruity, as Julie notes, it's got less alcohol kind of experience on the back end, but it had, some legs. And I mean, I gotta believe it's in about 12.5, 13.5 range. I don't think this is a 14% alcohol wine. I also don't think it's like a 10% alcohol wine. There's no real residual sugar. It's pretty dry in the finish. Schiavo, I don't have a lot of experience with that grape, but the little I perhaps know is that it can be in here. And I think there are other options in the way of Italian red varietals. Usually I get like a little more tannin, but the acidity here matches. And so that's appropriate. So maybe a lighter Italian red, like we've had before, for example, what was that wine from Lake Garda? I'm blanking. Oh gosh. It'll come back to me. But Austrian, German, Pinot Noir from Austria, Pinot Noir from Germany. I mean, a German Schiavo would be a fun call. I don't know enough about that to make that call myself. But Austria, I think Austrian Pinot Noir, German Pinot Noir, that'd be kind of fun. I think that Pinot Noir like helps me wrap my head around the cherry note more than, say, the Gamay note, for example. And it's just a light red. And so maybe an Alsatian Pinot Noir, for example. You could be in France, but in Alsace, I think there's generally a little bit more density, but I could be wrong about that, and the bottle shape might work. There is, I agree, kind of a lack of that earthiness that might be a more telltale sign of European Pinot, perhaps. But there's still that like little spritziness. Um, Sometimes, like, you get some of that spritziness from a partial whole cluster fermentation that exists in Pinot Noir and other grape varietals too. Like I sometimes pick that up in the central Otago, kind of southern New Zealand Pinot Noir realm, and it's met usually though with like a little bit more um, licoricey note, like star anise note, and that's not necessarily here in this wine. This is tough. It's a relatively simple wine, right? It's cheerful, fruity, enjoyable, but it's kind of difficult to nail where it's from. Hmm. The acid right now on the back end still present in the same place in the experience, and perhaps because it's layering on a little bit, but it's almost indicating a hint of tannin, and that's kind of like, I'm not sure that's actually there. There's acid and that sort of spritz and acid and more spritz and acid, and those sort of create this layered experience of what's almost tannin, and tannin is partly acidic in its presentation, and so I don't know, it's messing with me a little bit. I think this wine is not necessarily geared to merit so much thought or to invite so much thought. Typically, as was noted, it once opened fills your glass and empties quickly, and so you don't think much about a wine like this. But trying to think about it makes it that much more interesting, and something simple then becomes complex in the effort to try to figure out where it's from. Thai basil rice, yeah, that little bit of that green, sweet green with the basil, it might be fun. Oh man, ocean spray and sugar-free Sprite. No, no, it's not that. I hope it's not that. No, but it has that kind of tart, kind of tart, sweetened fruit. But it's not sweet on the finish, and the experience of the palate is a little bit different than the nose. Hmm. I think that's acid more than it is tannin. I'm, I'm comfortable in that spot. Okay, let's recap a little bit. Maybe Gamay, maybe a red Vino Verde, maybe something like a Petit Verdot, a Sangiovese, a Rhone blend done lighter in style, maybe an Italian red that has a lighter style. Schiavo was pointed out as an opportunity there. Pinot Noir, but maybe more like German or Austrian, maybe Zweigelt. I think we're all generally placing ourselves in Europe on most of those, but then the bolder red that's done in a lighter style intentionally could be anywhere in the world, and certainly could be Arizona, Virginia, California for that matter. But not sure. Someone would be making a very big statement in the new world with the bottle, which someone like Lightwell Survey, for example, wouldn't mind doing in the Virginia context. So that by way of partial answer to your question, Julie, have we even decided, or is it old world or new world? I don't know that we have, and it's going to be difficult to decide. Are there characteristics here that indicate Europe? Or is there something here that's kind of avant-garde enough and new enough, different enough to be New World? I think you could make an argument on the cold climate versus the warm climate that this is warm climate picked early with intention to make a lighter, fresher style of red. Like there's Stoltman makes the Love You Bunches wines, Sangiovese, that's really fresh and fun and super delicious. That's warm climate. Sangiovese picked to keep it fresh. So it could be something like that. On the opposite side of the spectrum, you argue this is cold climate and it's relatively ripe for its place, but never gets super ripe. And therefore, that little herbal note coming out is where that comes from. This is why it makes it very difficult to really nail this one way or another. It would have a little bit more acid if it was picked early, potentially, especially given the spectrum of ripeness. And so for most grapes, as you ripen, you lose acidity as you gain sugar relative. And we've talked about a few varietals like Riesling, like Timon sang, like Chenin Blanc, that kind of maintain their acid as they gain ripeness. And so they're pretty high acid red whites. On the red side, there are higher acid elements that come by way of certain varietals, but it's just a fascinating wine. There's sort of the aroma in particular keeps changing a little bit. And there's more spice now, like a Szechuan peppercorn. Austria-Hungarian Empire, Dean Wolfe putting the flag down first, which is good. Red varietal. Yeah. I'm going to take a stab. I mean, I'm going to go play part bottle game, more bottle game than anything else, kind of helping steer my selection here, my choice. And I'm going to go Austrian Pinot Noir. Yeah. Like Burgenland Pinot Noir from Austria, 2022, 2023, 2 to 4 years. But I would defer happily to other thoughts and other choices. Zweigelt. Yep. I think Alicia, you and Kathleen are on the page there. I think that could get, yeah, that could be good. Maybe more appropriate than Pinot Noir, or Saint Laurent, for example. We've had that before, so I don't know. Gamay. I'm not going to argue that point either. I mean, there's a viable argument for Gamay, for Pinot Noir, for Zweigelt, for a complex, more rich wine that's made a little bit lighter. I think there's a couple comfortable places to plant a flag for this wine. And I wouldn't be able to necessarily sway you by saying, well, one thing we said made it so that your call was wrong or less right. And coastal Iberian Peninsula is another one of those things. So yeah, absolutely. This is a fun, light red wine that would be delicious with a whole bunch of things. And like, just for a moment, a timeout. This is a difficult wine for us at the restaurant to sell. Most of the time, our guests don't want this wine. They probably do. They would enjoy this wine. They would, in fact, really enjoy the wine. They drink it fast and enjoy it thoroughly. And it would go with like everything that they're having that night. But they're never looking for a light red. The lightest red they might look for, and they'll look for it by name, and they'll say, I'm looking for Pinot Noir. But otherwise, a light red gets eschewed for a bolder red. And they think that's what they want. And I think most of the time, yeah, they love that. And it goes with everything for them. But they're missing out on a wine like this. And this type of wine, I mean, we have lobster on the menu for right now. And if you really wanted to have a red wine, I would want you to drink this with that, for example. I would want you to have this with some spicy food. That Indian kind of sumac spiced, think of like that tart lemon element with a minted yogurt. would be fantastic with a lamb kebab. That would be spectacular. So fun, delicious wine that isn't so serious, but it's just going to be part of the experience of eating. That would be, I think, a type of wine that I would like to see more people enjoy. But they don't necessarily feel like they're getting a value when it's a lighter red. And maybe that's the psychological understanding of it. When it's bigger, bolder, richer, more powerful, it has greater value. I find a light wine that makes you think about it and is intriguing and interesting to be harder to do. And this is one of those wines that's doing it. "100% fantastic for vegetarian options." And I appreciate that, Dean and Bobbin, very much, that I get the opportunity to help people find certain wines that they might otherwise look for themselves. Chicken, whitefish, shellfish. Oh yeah, absolutely. Pork with a whole bunch of berry sauce, like a blueberry, blackberry sauce in the summertime. If you had a pork tenderloin, you grilled it and you had this thin slices of it and you put a berry sauce all over it, this wine would be delicious. Be great with eggplant, wouldn't it? Like spiced eggplant, roasted eggplant. Eggplant's not the easiest pairing in the world. And so, yeah, I think this would be fantastic there. All right. Where are we going? What are we saying? What are we doing? Yeah. High acid, like really tart. All right. I gotta stay with where I thought. I'm gonna go Austria. Yeah, Austria. Pinot Noir 2023, 2022, 2 to 4 years old. Let's see. Anyone else want to put their flag, plant that flag before I get there? See the screw cap, I'm going to start there, and I'm going to know if I'm right or not. Ooh, I'm in the right direction, because the red with the white through the middle indicates Austria. And the bottle shape certainly indicates maybe an interesting Austrian varietal, like Zweigelt or Saint Laurent. Nice job, Kathleen and Alicia. This is Zweigelt from Geierhoff. Very cool, guys. Really well done. Kathleen and Alicia, you guys nailed it. Let's see what the vintage is. 22. So young wine. Okay, they've been making wine since the 16th century. It's been in their family. It was first mentioned in the 12th century. They've been making wine for a little while. This is really cool. This is tasty wine. It's a fun producer too. We've tried some other things from Geierhoff, and they're all delicious. But how is that not just an enjoyable drink? I was not headed to Zweigelt because I was looking for a little bit more spice, but this is lovely. Really fun. Yeah, that's wonderful. Did you like this? And would you order it? And would you want to drink it? Or is it more like, yeah, it was fun to do and it had its place, but it's not my favorite? Where do you guys come down on it? I think it's a pretty unique wine. And I think it's a great choice, as though, we principally do red wine in this tasting. And that is also because most people don't really want to do white. And this is a great choice for folks, especially wanting red wine all the time, but having it in a warm climate day, if you're outside. I understand it's in the 70s plus. This would be a great red wine to have on the patio. Great red wine to enjoy with any kind of summer fare, spring fare. And I would say too, it doesn't lose its versatility as you gain the colder climes. you can begin with it. It's a great starting wine. If somebody comes into your home and you put out a cheese and charcuterie board, and they can just sip this and enjoy whatever's there. Some mustard seeds and kind of angular tart pickles, sour pickles. I mean, this can handle that. The schnitzel, just noted, with that kartoffel salad, that kind of wonderful pickle juicy salad. Oh, it's fabulous. Potato salad, I should say, really wonderful. So this would be tremendous with that. It would be great. So it's a good summer quaffing wine for sure. And I think we have some more bottles left. And if you want some, we'd be happy to provide them for you. This has been a lot of fun, a tremendous amount of enjoyment on my part, because I am sitting in a warm climate. I've got like flip-flops on right now while I'm doing this, and I don't usually have that occasion. I will spare you the picture, but the experience is all the more important to me to have the opportunity to spend the third Thursday of each month with all of you. Thank you for that. We've got some really fun events coming up. In addition to our third Thursday coming in May, we will have Linden Vineyards on May 1st. We have Arkenstone coming at the end of May. This is a California producer up in the mountains making just extraordinary Cabernet, not in a shaped bottle like this. Really beautiful Cabernet Sauvignon and some other wonderful wines. And one of their representatives will be with us at the end of May and promises to be an extraordinary event. In June, we will do two events too. We have Felix Yerman joining us. Felix is the sixth generation of a family production in Friuli, Venezia Giulia. Yerman is one of my favorite wineries on the planet and has been since I began my career, and I first tasted their special wine called Vintage Tunina. Whoa, extraordinary white blend. They make an interesting Pinot Noir. They make a really fascinating Chardonnay that kind of plays off the U2 song. They call it W Dreams, or where the dreams are made of, or what was once dreams. And they have this whole host of kind of nomenclature around this particular wine. Spectacular. They have another field blend, Capo Martino, which we'll get a chance to try. It's in small allocations. And so going to be an amazing night. That I think is June 18th. And then we'll finish out the remainder of June with an event to benefit Root to Table, which is an organization that supports the food culture and identity of the Virginia Piedmont, in partnership with Ian Bowden, who's the chef at Maud and Bear. He just got a James Beard nomination, and we're going to do an event centered around what it means to cook in the Virginia Piedmont and a local sourcing that has a global inspiration. He'll bring his particular flair to our menu, and we'll bring ours. And I think we're going to focus on a couple of ingredients, with each of the restaurants doing their own take, playing around with pork, trout, corn, and maybe peanuts. We'll see. That menu is still being fleshed out, but stay tuned for all that. All those are up on the website as options if you wish. Thank you all. Freeland wine is fantastic. Cabs are tremendous. So please, if you can join us for any of those events, we'd love to see you then. If not, then I look forward to seeing you about a month from now to do this again. Cheers, everybody.